Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. We just had a great meeting with the Métis. It's our third summit, and so that wraps up the summit portion. And look forward to over the fall getting going with projects and consultation on those.
Thank you. I think we had really fruitful discussions, a lot of good input, a lot of positive response, a lot of, I'm going to say, defining of what it is they're looking for to partner in this process. A lot of questions on next step, and I think it was really, the message I heard was glad that the Prime Minister called these summits and really shaped the space to have that discussion.
Yeah.
You mentioned nations are looking forward to next steps. Do you have any timeline as to when you may be able to share some of the project proposals that the government's looking at?
The next steps is the Major Projects Office will get set up by Labor Day, and so then following that, then projects can be accepted. So it'd be this fall that looking to get the beginning of the consultation on projects.
Do you know, just in terms of the strategy your government's taking to announcing these projects, do you know if they'll be announced all at once or in batches? Do you know anything about when we might hear more about which ones are greenlit?
I think when the Major Projects Office is set up on Labor Day, this is where you'll get more information on what the next step will be. But for me, participating in all of the summits, I really appreciated the amount of information that was provided for us. You know, once again, I really want to commend the Inuit Summit for the amount of documentation that they provided us with. Even here, you know, every summit gave the opportunity for them to feed into what we are doing, how we are defining the mandate, the scope, the next step of selecting those people that will sit at the Indigenous Advisory Council, how they will work together with community, helping us shape to what we thought we would do. I think for me, that's my takeaway as a minister today. What I had thought and what I had heard, aligning those two things is really important to me.
And I would say also just there's no application deadline. It is the revolving. So when proponents are ready, they can come forward for consideration.
Do you know who's going to lead the Major Project Office yet?
For the minister, it's Minister LeBlanc.
But like from the bureaucratic or standpoint?
Not yet, no.
Ministers, did you learn anything through these three summits that, as a new government, you're going to take forward when engaging with Indigenous communities, given the rocky road that we've had, I would say, since April?
I think for me, what I heard in all three summits is really a desire to define where they want to be in the economic space, what they're looking for in terms of that development for their future members of the nation. That was really a strong takeaway for me. The capacity that they want to build as part of this process, the commitment that they see from this government. In multiple sessions, I've heard this in many different ways, really defining what that partnership looks like. I think the fact that they're speaking to that mechanism, here's how we want to come to the table and be the partner that we need to be, that was what was very clear for me as each summit advanced.
And I would say the other thing is that partners really want to hit the ground running. They've got projects and they want to get going on it. So looking forward to that.
Most of the Métis governments have been activities deal with not to were invited to be participants aside from the Métis Nation projects. Can you tell me what led to them being invited on as an observer?
They're still going through their Section 35 recognition.
The Prime Minister said today, though, that he was being more inclusive with communities that don't necessarily have self-government agreements to get as broad a view as possible. So would that not include the Métis Nation of British Columbia?
It was broad, and so some were as participants and others were as observers.
Yeah. And I think, of course, this is, you know, the first discussion. There's still those additional steps of regional discussions that will occur. Having those conversations in multiple steps in different places and times, I think that really contributes to having the fruitful outcome of developing that portrait and how Métis will participate in nation-building projects.
Yeah, and I would say that I would say just, yeah, as Minister Gull-Masty just said, the summits are one opportunity, but we've also been traveling across Canada this summer and getting to meet with leadership and with community members in their communities and getting to talk about this further, which has been really good.
That's why your reaction to the Manitoba Métis Federation's decision not to attend this summit even after they got an invitation to participate?
I mean, I think it's important to be part of the dialogue. This government has the responsibility to speak with everybody. We had a really great session last night with David Chartres and his cabinet. President Chartres expressed his interest in seeing how this will move forward. It was my first time meeting him, so I was really pleased to have that opportunity to meet him in his space. In addition, I think all of the cabinet ministers that we met yesterday really impressed me with the level of importance that they were placing on building that future forward. For me, that's a huge takeaway in the interest aspect of participating.
Would you say to his concerns specifically that the Métis Nation of Ontario and the Métis National Council are unable to represent the Métis Nation?
I think for me, in the lens of what C5 is trying to do to build nation building projects, this is where we want to keep that focus. We are in a situation of urgency. We're responding to a huge challenge, a huge threat to the Canadian economy. In President Chartrand's remarks to us, he was aware of that urgency. And everybody who participated here last night and other conversations all addressed the necessity that we have to push forward with responding to that. Because at the end of the day, we are facing a historical threat to Canada, and we want to ensure that we are meeting Canadians and trying to offer them the best future moving forward.
So just in terms of Section 35 recognition, can you specify that a little more? Because the Métis Nation of BC was until very recently part of the Métis Major Council, so it seems that they had recognition amongst their own people in the legitimate body here. You recognize them now, why have they not met that test as far as the
The Métis Nation of British Columbia is still going through that Section 35 review. Yeah.
So given the disagreement, if you will, over who would be here today, who would represent Métis nations in Canada, will there be contentious disputes over who's on the Indigenous Advisory Council?
The Indigenous Advisory Council, so the terms of reference we are in the process of drafting, and so looking to leaders from across the country for recommendations.
But since they don't agree on who was here today, isn't it
sorry.
possible they'll disagree over who's on that council?
Everybody does want to have their representative on it, so we will have to make sure the Indigenous Advisory Council is a manageable body to provide advice to the Major Projects Office.
Last question, folks.
I think just to respond to also, the important part is that this government is creating space for those conversations to move forward. There's a lot of tools being put in place. The Indigenous Advisory Council is one place where we are creating a tool not only for discussion, but for ourselves as government to ensure that we're reflecting inclusivity, the position of Indigenous peoples in policy development, et cetera, et cetera. We also have now the $10 billion loan guarantee program that allows for everybody to participate, to have equity participation, and of course, critical capacity building funding that allows for those nations who want to put forward a project to participate so that we can meet them and help support, bring them into the place that they need to be a partner. That includes, components of preparedness, negotiating support, what kind of capacity do you need to be in a position to really respond to where your project wants to go. We even had a little bit of discussion today in what does that third-party relationship look like? Because this is an investment process and trying to contribute to the Canadian economy. So how is that investment framed in an Indigenous context, in a federal context? I think those are all parts of the dialogue that we had, and I'm interested to hear more.
And I would just say that the Indigenous Advisory Council just provides advice. At the end of the day, consultation would happen with rights holders.
David Chartres
I guess
said
these
yesterday-
two hadn't had asked a question. No. Oh, sorry.
David Chartres said yesterday that it appears that the Prime Minister is getting bad advice on relations with Indigenous people, that the Prime Minister should have known that there are these tensions between Métis communities. Do you think that the Prime Minister, since, March, when he became leader of the Liberal Party, has done enough to understand these complexities of these communities?
Yeah, and I think the Government of Canada, we have the responsibility to engage with all residents to build Canada strong, and so that's engaging with all Indigenous partners. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Minister, how's your stomach?